Today, I am bringing you 32 tips and tricks so that you can become a Midjourney master. Whether you are a complete beginner or an advanced Midjourney user, I am confident that this video will be of value. So now let's dive into these 32 Midjourney tips and tricks. Midjourney tip number 1 is to use /settings in order to adjust your default parameters. Now this may seem like a very simple tip, but when I was first getting started, I didn't know you could do this. So once you're in your Discord, hit / and type in settings. You then can select the /settings from Midjourney commands. And now just hit enter. And what this will do is pop up with all of the settings that you can adjust. There are a bunch of different settings that you can mess around with in here. You can choose high quality, half quality, base quality, some different versions to generate different styles of images. And also you can choose the styling parameter for how much style you want in your images. If you don't want to use all your fast hours, what you can do is switch to relax mode, and then all of your images will automatically be on relaxed mode. And now it's just as simple as generating the images you want with your desired settings. Midjourney tip number 2 is to use the --AR parameter in order to adjust your aspect ratio on certain images. So if I wanted this image to be generated in a rectangle in a nice wide view, what I would do is type in --AR 16:9. You can see that it generates these images in a nice rectangle 16:9 aspect ratio. Now if I reverse this aspect ratio and go 9:16 instead of 16:9, what this will do is make this image vertical. So this is the 9:16 aspect ratio compared to the 16:9. You can also do a 1:1 aspect ratio, which would make this a square. Adjusting something as simple as the aspect ratio doesn't seem like it would help with your prompting, but it actually adds a whole new element and a whole new view to what your image could be. If you want a cinematic shot, then a wide aspect ratio would be better. But if you want something more film camera-like, maybe you could do a 3:2 aspect ratio. Midjourney tip number 3 is to adjust the chaos parameter. Now when adjusting the chaos parameter, you can select a value between 0 and 100. What the chaos parameter does is it determines how varied your initial 4 images are that are appearing within the grid. So if you have a very low chaos parameter, then what it will do is make all 4 of those images very similar. If you have a chaos of 100, let's say, then all 4 of those images will vary greatly. So in order to type out the chaos parameter, what you want to do is --C space and then whatever you want your value to be. So for this, I'm just going to do 50, and we are going to go halfway up the scale of chaos, just so I can show you how much these images will differ. So now as you can see, using the chaos parameter of 50 has changed these images dramatically. Each image is nowhere near the same. Midjourney tip number 4 is to use /blend in order to blend 2 images together. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So for the blend example, I'm going to be using these 2 images. The first thing you want to do is type in /blend. And now you can click here to upload your 2 images. So now I'm going to upload this picture of me and this picture of this cowboy that I generated. Now if you click in the prompt bar down here, you can even add 3 more images after this, as well as add dimensions. For now, I'm just going to send this off so we can blend these 2 images together using Midjourney. Now after blending these 2 images, what it's done is it's blended me with the cowboy, and it looks like the cowboy is now sitting in one of my chairs. And what it's done is it's taken the look of the cowboy and applied it to the scene of my picture. So that was a pretty poor example, but you can get very creative using the blend option on Midjourney. Midjourney tip number 5 is to try single word prompts for surprising outcomes. So just like any other prompt, we can start out by typing /imagine, hitting tab, and now we can just type in a single word to get some interesting outcomes. One of my favorite single word prompts to do is surrealism. And you can still add parameters here, so if you want this to be quality of 2 with maybe a chaos of 50, you can do that. But just adding 1 word lets Midjourney run around with its imagination. So after just typing in that 1 word surrealism, it came up with some very interesting images. I'm not going to show the bottom 2 because they are a little bit disturbing actually in a way, but these top 2 images generated very interesting and cool results. Midjourney tip number 6 is to create seamless patterns using the tile parameter. These seamless patterns can be great whether you're selling patterns on Etsy or trying to create a t-shirt design or anything of that matter. So right now I have this prompt typed out, watercolor pastel flower pattern Q2. Now if I wanted to make this a seamless pattern that I could use for textiles, backgrounds, wallpapers, etc., what you would do next is hit -- and then type in tile. What this will do is make this pattern seamless. Now that all of your patterns are generated, you can upscale which one you like. Next, go to the web and save your image. And in order to check whether your image is seamless, what you can do is you can go to a seamless texture checker and paste in your file, and that way you can see whether your pattern is actually seamless. So as you can see, I've uploaded my image and it looks pretty seamless to me. Tip number 7 is to adjust the Stylize parameter for weaker or stronger default styles. Let me show you the differences when it comes to stylizing. So the first prompt we have here is illustrated grapes with a stylize of 0. Now, what stylizing does is the less stylizing you have, the more that Midjourney is going to stick to the actual prompt, but the less creative it's going to be. So if you have a stylize of 1,000, what that's going to do is it's going to stray away from the prompt a little bit, but it's going to make it very creative and more artistic. So I'm going to send this off. And also behind it, I'm going to do the same prompt, but with a stylize of 500. So my prompt with a stylize of 0 is generating, and also now I have a prompt with a stylize of 500 starting to generate. And behind that, I'm going to do a stylize of 1000. So now we have 3 variations of the same prompt, except the stylize is different on each one. For example, illustrated grapes with a stylize of 0 is very simple. It's illustrating the grapes, plain background, and it's just doing what I tell it to do. But as I move the stylize up to 500, it starts to vary in creativeness a little bit more. It's adding different colored grapes, it's changing the background, giving them some leaves, some branches, making it more so a vineyard look. And then when I go to 1000, it gets even crazier. It starts adding gradients to the grapes, changes the background dramatically, and it's also adding different shading techniques and other things. So the stylize command is fun to mess around with, and it can be useful for certain situations. Tip number 8 is to use my custom art studio template I made within Notion that holds over 500 different design components for Midjourney, as well as a custom gallery where you can organize your art and your prompts. This is the art studio that I've created within Notion, and if you want this template, you can purchase it using the link in the top pinned comment or the description below. But what this template provides you is a database full of all of your gallery of art that you've created, some of your favorites. And when you click into some of these pieces of art, what you'll notice is it has the prompt right here for you that you used in order to generate this picture. One of the best things about this art hub is that when you open the components database, there are over 500 different components to choose from when making your art. So I have different subjects you can use, different styles of art you can use, and so much more. You have the ability to add your own components too. And over on the right, you'll be able to see all of your favorite components. So usually I favorite the ones that I like to use most. For example, if I go into style, as you can see, I have 4 styles memorized. And the thing about the styles is I've added an image for each style so you can see what kind of style of art you want to generate within that image. So if I click on metaphysical art, as you can see, it will give an example image of what is metaphysical art. If I click on low poly, once again, it will give an example image of what low poly does to a picture when put in Midjourney. Also within this template, I've provided you with 10 engineered Midjourney prompts in order to get stellar results when prompting in Midjourney. It's also good to just get your brain flowing in the right direction of prompting with Midjourney when using these engineered Midjourney prompts that I've created for you. And I make each one of these prompts a formula, so I give you creative freedom to replace the subject, the preposition, the background and environment. And it's a double-edged sword because we also have my components database where I provide you with subjects and background and environments. So all these prompts are engineered in order to get you very good results. Now I could walk around that Art Studio template for a long time, but now I have to get back to the other tips in the video. If you want to see that full video where I go over my Art Studio in depth and what it has to offer, you can watch the video in the upper right hand corner. Midjourney tip number 9 is to use the Niji style for anime styled images. Now I hope I said that right, but it's spelled N-I-J-I. So in order to get to that, you can either do a dash at the end of your prompt, but what I like to do is just go to settings and hit enter once again, and then I'll change my version to one of these down here. So for example, change it from MJ version 5 to Niji version 5. And now you can hit dismiss message, and now all of your prompts will generate very good anime styled images. Let me show you an example. So what I've done is I've gotten this prompt off this website here in order to generate a good anime styled image. And now when I go back to Discord, with this model version selected, when I send this off, it's going to generate an awesome result. So as you can see here, we get some very nice results, and I really like this image in the top right hand corner. So if you generate anime styled images quite a bit, then I recommend switching to that model. Tip number 10 is to use multi-prompt commands in order to separate your thoughts. For example, right now we have a basic prompt cupcake illustration. So when we send it off, what you'll notice is we get a illustration of a cupcake as expected. But what if we wanted cup and cake to be separate entities within this prompt? What we could do is in between cup and cake, we could put a double colon with no spaces. And now this reads as cup, an illustration of a cup, and cake, illustration of a cake. So what this will most likely do is put the cake within the cup. So now as you can see, after we've done the double colon between cup and cake, it's added a whole new element to the image. The cupcake is now within the cup. Now this is a bit more on the advanced side of Midjourney, but it's also fun to get accustomed to using this stuff and to try out different words. Multi-prompt commands can be very useful, but they can also be a little bit tricky to get the hang of, so I recommend trying it out for yourself. Midjourney tip number 11 is to use the no parameter for negative prompting. This allows you to remove certain items from the image that you don't want in there. Let me show you what I mean. An example of this being used would be something like this. For this prompt, I have it very simple: vibrant landscape, colorful flower field, but let's say I do not want any red in this picture. I don't want any red flowers, I don't want any hints of red. So what I can do is type in -- no, and then type in the parameter that I don't want, or the object, or the color that I do not want in the image. Now I can send it off and there will not be any red in this picture. So it got done generating all the images, and as you can see, it did a pretty good job at removing all of the red. There are some darker shades of orange that some would argue do look a little bit red, but using negative prompting doesn't only have to be for colors, you can also use it for objects too. So this can be very useful when trying to get closer to the perfect piece of art that you want. Midjourney tip number 12 is to specify what perspective you want for your image. So right now I have this prompt: photorealistic astronaut walking on planet, red dust, and then I specify what perspective I want. So if I want an aerial view, what I'm going to do is say aerial view. So this is the result it gives when asking for an aerial view. It will be above the subject or the object that you have within your prompt. But when I change the view from aerial view to worm's eye view, what you'll notice is it has a beneath shot of the subject. That's why it's very important to specify what kind of perspective you want within your images in order to get that exact picture that you're looking for. Midjourney tip number 13 is to specify any lighting conditions that you want. For example, in my components database, I have over 50 ways that I can light my images. These are 4 of my favorites that I like using a lot. So what kind of lighting do you want to use for your image? Is it golden hour, twilight, side lighting, silhouettes, morning light? You've got to be specific if you want the light coming in from a certain angle. And in order to get that perfect image, that's just another one of those components that you have to add to the mix. So if we take this prompt, for example, and add golden hour to the end of it, what you'll notice is it changes the image to looking like this instead of looking like this without specifying the lighting conditions. So this is without specifying lighting, and this is with specifying lighting. It adds a whole new element to all of your pictures. Midjourney tip number 14 is to specify your desired color palette. So once again, personally, I'm going to go into my template and I'm going to select what color palette I want. And now I'm just going to add it to the prompt. And as you can see, I've specified what kind of lighting I want in this prompt as well. So I'm using both of these techniques in the same prompt. Now I'm going to send this off. So I used the exact same prompt to generate this flower compared to these flowers. But the difference between these flowers and this flower is for this flower, I used a rich earth tones color palette. In these flowers, I used a duotone color palette. So being very specific on your color palette is important when generating the results that you want for your AI art. Midjourney tip number 15 is to specify the desired mood you want for your image. So we've done lighting, we've done color palette, but now it's time to discuss the mood. So now I'm going to change the prompt I used in order to generate this picture, and I'm going to make the mood happy. Before there was no mood specified at all, but now I'm going to add a happy mood and just watch how the image changes. So now I've added happy mood, and let's just watch how the picture changes. So as you can see, just by adding a simple mood indicator, this guy doesn't look too happy. But all of these other samurais in this rainforest look much happier than the original. Midjourney tip number 16 is to specify the desired composition of your picture. One of my favorite compositions to use is the rule of thirds composition. So as you can see right now, this cowboy is centered in the middle of the picture, and that is because I did not specify what kind of composition I wanted for this photo. But now if you notice, I'm going to add in rule of thirds and watch where it places him in the photo now. Now as you can see, instead of placing the subject directly in the center, it moves him to the right or the left, giving this photo room to breathe. And instead of looking at the camera now, he is now looking off towards the open space in the image, or like this bottom left one, this kind of gives a dramatic effect because there could be something maybe coming behind him and he's looking off this way. Adding composition to images or videos changes the entire vibe. Midjourney tip number 17 is to use collective nouns for more specific results. For example, if you want to generate an image of some wolves running through the woods, then instead of saying wolves running through the woods, what you could do is a pack of wolves. Using those collective nouns really helps Midjourney understand what you want. So if you were to use the pack of wolves, it would generate a lot better of an image rather than if you just used the word wolves. Midjourney tip number 18 is to use specific numbers instead of plural words. Now this kind of ties into the last tip, but if you wanted an image of some cats, instead of saying generate me hyper-realistic image of cats, what you need to do is specify how many cats do you want in the image, Words that are plural leave a lot to chance, so if you tell Midjourney exactly what you want, your desired outcome is going to be much more likely. Tip number 19 is to mention desired camera settings. Now this especially works well when you're trying to generate a hyper-realistic image where you want it to look like this picture was taken in real life. Things you should be specifying are your focal length, your aperture, your camera, your lens. This will really help Midjourney decide what kind of image is it generating. Let me show you an example. So as you can see in this recent prompt, what I did was I used a Nikon D850 with an 85mm lens and an f-stop of 1.8. And that made the images turn out very cool. It has a very shallow depth of field. It's high quality. It looks like it was taken with an actual camera. But what if I wanted this to be taken on a film camera? Well, then I would just have to mention that. So now what I've done is I've changed this prompt in order to cooperate with the film camera. I've added the Kodak Ultra F9 with some film grain, and just check out the differences in these prompts by changing a few camera settings. As you can see, the results are now like this just by changing the camera and a few other settings. It's made it look a lot older, so just by changing a couple of camera settings, it's changed the outcome of the image completely. Tip number 20 is to remove unnecessary filler words in order to have a stronger influence on the words that actually remain. For example, if you have a prompt like I do down here, where it says, I want a hyper-realistic portrait of a cowboy that is by a cliffside village in a composition of rule of thirds being taken with a Nikon D850, in order to make this prompt a lot more powerful, you need to be able to remove all the filler words. For example, don't put I want a. What you can do is just start it out with hyper-realistic portrait of a cowboy. You might even be able to get rid of a, and then just put a comma in between those. Instead of that is by a, just delete all that. Cliffside village in a composition of rule of thirds. Delete in a composition of, just put rule of thirds. Being taken with a. You don't need any of that. Just specify the camera you want it taken with. And Midjourney will do what it needs to do in order to generate that image. So this is going to generate a lot more accurate results. Get rid of your filler words. Midjourney does not understand sentences quite yet, as well as something like ChatGPT does. I know Midjourney is working on it, but for now, just remove any of the filler words in order to generate a lot more accurate images. Tip number 21 is to remember that Midjourney does not reliably interpret any punctuation. So if you're putting periods, exclamation points, or question marks, Midjourney is not going to take that information for anything to do with your prompt. It can't really interpret that quite yet. Midjourney tip number 22 is to remember that capitalization does not matter within Midjourney. Piggybacking on the last tip, Midjourney does not interpret capitalization. It doesn't have anything to do with the prompt, so if you're worried about getting capital letters in there, etc., you don't need to worry about it because Midjourney does not care. Midjourney tip number 23 is to focus on what you want in the images when you're typing in your prompt, rather than what you don't want in the images. If you remember my tip from earlier where I told you to be specific within your prompt, what Midjourney does is it takes what it sees within the prompt, and then it's more likely to generate that within the image if it's in there. So if you wanted an images with 6 cats and no dogs, it's better to just say, generate me an image with 6 cats, rather than to say, generate me an image with 6 cats and no dogs. Because when Midjourney sees the word dogs, what it's going to want to do is put it in the picture, regardless if you said no or not. Now, if you actually do not want something in the image, then use my tip I explained earlier, where you can use the parameter --no and type in what you don't want in the image, and that should have a better effect than typing in, I don't want this in your prompt. Midjourney tip number 24 is to use emojis for quick and fun prompts. Now, these won't really generate any crazy results, but it's very fun to copy and paste in some emojis and to see what kind of results Midjourney generates. Let me show you an example. As you can see, I did /imagine, and then I did the heart eye emoji with the sun emoji, and what it generated were these 4 images. Maybe they're saying that this pineapple is worth a heart eyes emoji. Maybe this view is worth a heart eye emoji. It's just kind of fun to mess around with these though, and to try different emoji combinations or just single emojis and to send off your prompt. It's quick, it's easy, and it's interesting to see how Midjourney interprets those. Midjourney tip number 25 is to combine multiple prompts for more complex images. So this is also very fun to experiment with. Let's say I want to take this image of this cowboy that I generated, and I want to mix it with one of these up here. Let's say I want to mix it with this rainbow colored field. What I could do is start typing out my prompt with /imagine, and then I can copy and paste this prompt I have here, and then I can scroll up to this, and I can just copy and paste this into the prompt as well. And just to make this even crazier, let's stylize it to 750. Now, this should generate a very complex, interesting image. especially with the camera settings we have, the landscape we've provided, and also the parameters we've provided. So as you can see, after combining those two prompts, it's given us this cowboy who is now in a colorful field. And since we added no red, there are actually no red flowers in this picture, which is something I just picked up on. So that's pretty cool that that negative parameter actually worked. So yeah, once you have a database full of prompts, you can kind of combine them together to get images like this. Midjourney tip number 26 is to upscale your images for better quality. And I know this seems like a very basic tip for most of you, but if some people don't know this, then it's very important in order to get the highest quality images that you're looking for. And if you're looking at the grid, the images are numbered in this order. The top left is 1, the top right is 2, the bottom left is 3, and the bottom right is 4. So if I wanted to upscale the top right, what I could do is hit U2, since this is the second image within the grid, and that will upscale that image within a matter of seconds. So now this image is higher quality. You can hit this open link, and now that the link is open in the web, right click it and hit save image as, and then you can save it to your computer as an individual image. Midjourney tip number 27 is to use the /help command if you're needing guidance within the Discord. So if you're in the Discord and you're struggling, maybe you didn't watch this video all the way through, what you can do is you can hit /help, hit tab, and then just hit enter. And what this is going to do is this is going to give you so many options and different pages you can visit in order to learn everything you need to know about Midjourney. You can view the parameter list here, you can view the getting started doc, and it just gives you so much information on how to become better versed with Midjourney. Midjourney tip number 28 is to browse through the Midjourney gallery for ideas and examples. If you go to the Midjourney showcase, they have a plethora of prompts being added every day. What you can do is you can scroll through here to find an image you like. Let's say you like this image of the robot here on the right. You can hover over it, and then you can copy this prompt in order to get some inspiration. Now, there are all sorts of cool pieces of art in here that are generated by multiple people. So if you can look through here and draw inspiration, then that would be ideal in order to help learn about some of this AI art stuff. Midjourney tip number 29 is to generate images in order to get inspiration for your storytelling or your creative writing. If you're struggling with some writer's block, what you could maybe do is go in here and type /imagine, and then you can kind of just type out whatever your story is about or some of the characters you have in mind. And what Midjourney will do is generate some pictures in order to get your creative juices flowing. So maybe your book is about a lost dog in an enchanted forest, but you also have a redhead girl as the main character. What you could do is type in something like this: lost dog, redhead girl, enchanted forest. And then you could maybe go cartoon, Pixar style. You can generate the vibe you're looking for with your book. If it was an older woman, you could put older redhead girl, Pixar style cartoon maybe. This is all good stuff. And then you can send it off. And what this is going to do is generate you 4 images that can kind of help get your mind flowing for your creative writing or your storytelling. If you wanted to, you could also do the chaos parameter that I showed earlier to generate a little bit different images. So maybe you could do a chaos of 10 and send it off. So now after the pictures are generated, maybe this helps you. Maybe you're like, oh, now I have some descriptive words I can use for the forest because I'm seeing this in a different way than what my brain was seeing it in. That's the beauty of Midjourney. It can kind of take your idea and produce its own ideas, which in turn give you more ideas. Midjourney tip number 30 is to create custom wallpapers and backgrounds for your phone or your desktop. This will help save you time when you're looking for images for your desktop or your phone, and you also have full creative freedom of the style of background or wallpaper that you want. So if I wanted a wallpaper for my iPhone, maybe what I could do here is type in something like this. You know, whatever I want in this image. I could use 4K to ensure high quality. And then I could also put my aspect ratio at 9:16. So this will be a vertical image, which will be great for the iPhone. And if I wanted to do this for my desktop, I could also have matching images. I could have a 9:16 for my iPhone and a 16:9 for my desktop. So as you can see here, you can get some awesome images in a very short amount of time that are completely original and designed by you. This took me about 30 seconds to generate an awesome background for my iPhone. Midjourney tip number 31 is to experiment with generating images that are inspired by famous artworks. For example, I have a prompt in my AI Art Hub that can generate images just like this. As you can see, what it does is it ties in Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, and I added my own dragon within that prompt. So it looks like a remix of Vincent van Gogh's painting, which is very cool. And within the 500 Midjourney components that I offer with that template, I have over 50 inspirational references that you can choose from. These are all very cool, and it's very interesting to see how Midjourney can tie in your own creative mind with these inspirational, famous masterpieces. So for example, I could do something like an astronaut inspired by, and then I can paste in Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci with a bold atmosphere. And what this is going to do is it's going to tie in an astronaut to the Mona Lisa. So let's see what happens. I'm going to send it off. You know what, the Mona Lisa one is pretty basic, but there's 49 other ones that are actually pretty unique and pretty cool. But the Mona Lisa is widely known by everyone. That's why I wanted to use it in this example. So as you can see, it generates some very interesting stuff. Usually it actually ties in the artwork a little bit more, but I do like the fourth image it generated. It's kind of like it's breaking out of the Mona Lisa picture frame, which is very cool. Midjourney tip number 32 is to use trial and error until you get the image that you want. The only way that you're going to get better at Midjourney, just like anything, is by trial and error. You need to fail a couple times in order to succeed. And once you start getting a feel for how certain parameters work in different atmospheres within your image, then you're going to be able to generate the AI art you want. If you are still watching in this video, I highly appreciate it. This was a long video, but I hope that you've learned a lot. This took a ton of time of research, filming, and editing for me, so if you could please drop a like and subscribe, I would highly appreciate it. Also, if you are new to Midjourney or you have Midjourney, I do recommend getting my AI art studio that I was showcasing for tip number 8 in this video. It offers 500 design components that you can plug and play into your Midjourney prompts, and also a custom art gallery so you can go back and look at your art within your own workspace, and you can look at the prompts you used in order to generate that art. I'll leave a link in the description and the top pinned comment if you are interested in getting that art hub. But that is it for today. If you are interested in more Midjourney content, I suggest you click that video right there. That video is very cool. It goes into how to use ChatGPT with Midjourney and generate awesome prompts. But before you hit that video, hit the subscribe button right there. I'll be waiting. Did you hit the subscribe button yet? If not, it's still right there. All right, I'll see you in the next one.